You mentioned earlier in the podcast having an ego death with your first experience. I would love to hear about that. And then also, if you're willing to share,
of course,
because it goes into, everyone has an opinion. So it's like, how much of your journey do you share? Because going into it with expectation is not a good idea. And that's something that I was really trying not to do, because Eric had shared his, to like every detail. And I was like, that sounds amazing. I want to do that. And then when mine wasn't nearly as visual or magical, I was like, damn it. But that was probably because I had that expectation going in. So it's like, do you share your experience, or are you like just conscientious of when you share it or how you share it? And then when it comes to ego death, there's some people that I think that actually does like way more harm than good, because they have, do you know who Jamie Wheal is?
Of course.
He talks about the super ego and how he sees that a lot on the West Coast. So these people have this quote unquote ego death, and now all of a sudden it's actually a super ego, and they're like, I am Ram Dass.
Right.
And let me give you the answers to everything. And you're like, well, that's not what you were supposed to come out thinking, feeling, or doing. So maybe you need to go back in there. So what's the difference between like a positive ego death and one that actually leads to a super ego?
Okay, you've asked a bunch of questions in that paragraph. Okay, let's back it up and say, first, my feelings on sharing in general. So I love, if someone's asking the questions, I'm happy to answer, and depending on what the conversation's about, to share whatever experience makes sense to share. I do it to normalize I want to normalize conversations about mental health. So we talk about kids breaking their legs or getting hurt. Why can't we talk about people being depressed or anxious or having a substance use disorder? Why there shouldn't be any more shame in that discussion than in the broken leg. So I want to normalize that, and I want to normalize a discussion on medicine or psychedelic medicine specifically. And say, look, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a father, and I'm a taxpayer, and I do a lot of drugs, and that's okay. And so I want to talk about it so that other people are like, oh, well, if he's not what I pictured a drug user to look like, and okay, maybe I am going to consider this. I also I try to combine what I've learned and what I'm learning in real time with what I'm sharing. So like there are 309 academic institutions studying psychedelics right now. A lot of people don't know that. Absolutely. And the research is so powerful. So I try to be that bridge. I'm not a PhD, I'm not a doctor, but I think I can present things in a way that people can hear who are not scientists or don't have a science background. So and so then when it comes to so then it becomes about how, I think I also try to caution people about what you said. You don't want to have too much of an expectation going in. The medicine's going to take you. All we're going to do is help prepare you for whatever that experience is. Maybe you have visuals, maybe you have some somatic experience, maybe you have just deep relaxation. Maybe it doesn't affect you. All that's possible. So let's be prepared for anything and everything, and then see where it goes. And no matter where it goes, you didn't do anything wrong. That was your experience. And it doesn't mean it's going to be like that every time. That was your experience on that day, and that was beautiful just as it is. And then I think so now we're going to go backwards to psychedelic narcissism, which is what you're talking about. Like I know everything. And it's interesting. So I work with these different integrators, coaches, people, and they talk about, one thing we talk about is we try, it's a fine line between not giving unsolicited advice and then sharing this information and finding that balance. So I think that's something that those of us working in the space, we need to, it's a constant something we should be aware of, and we are aware of. With psychedelic medicine, you feel so much love towards yourself. I know for me, when I first had that very first experience, one moment I'm like, oh my God, I feel so safe and so loved. And like a fraction of a second later, I was like, oh my God, I don't normally feel loved and safe. What the hell's going on? And then it was like, and then another second later, it's like, oh my God, I can't remember the last time I felt this loved and safe. That was a big eye opener. For some people, you can take that and be like, and now I am, therefore I know everything, and I have achieved a godlike status, and which then brings us full circle to when you're looking to participate and to work with somebody, looking for those signs. Does this person feel like they are a deity, that they have all the answers, that they know, or are they learning, healing, and growing just like all of us? And if they are humble, in my opinion, humble, I'm here to learn, heal, and grow with my experience. I'm going to share this experience with you if you would like it. Yeah, I think that's a safer place to step into. So just being aware those people exist out there, though, I think is really good advice that you're bringing up indirectly.
I feel like there was another question in my long paragraph.
Let me see here. Ego death.
Yeah, ego death.
Again, that same experience. So the first part of it was, so my mom died when she was 49, so I was 22. And I learned, I still haven't felt, that was the saddest I've ever been. I think I found my low end of my emotional register. And I talk about in my book about how like I wailed. I didn't even know what that word wail meant until that day at the cemetery. It was really hard. And then on this experience, she was there, and I could feel her in a way that I hadn't in what would have been 25 years. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. She's here and I'm taking her energy and moving it forward. And that's kind of that's like talking about the energy side. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is the feminine energy that I'm going to embody as part of me, and I'm going to move her forward, and that's okay. And then I could actually feel my kids. I'm like, oh, I get it. And I'm moving this forward, and now they're moving it forward. And even though we're 3 different entities or 4 different entities, it's all connected. And I could see that. The ego death side was when I really thought I wasn't coming back. I was like, oh, I've now crossed over, and I didn't get to say goodbye. Mm-hmm. And that was really sad for her. I was like, oh, I can't believe I just left them, and I'm not going to come back. But it was also my first glimpse, and with some other molecules later, I got more of this, but my first glimpse of, okay, this is what a heaven could be like. I can conceive of a place where us in energetic form live, or be, maybe is a better word, and there is space for everybody, and it is beautiful, and it is loving. And then not too long after that, I was able to come back. So here I am.
Well, we're glad you're back.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I'm sure your family is too. Yeah, that sounds like a very beautiful and like healing experience. This goes back to having the importance of having a facilitator, because I think sometimes when I've heard people describe an ego death, because I have it myself.
Not yet.
Is that they feel like once they've killed it, that's like a permanent fix. And there's this guy that I just like adore. He founded BioCybernaut, so Dr. Hart, and he's like, as long as you're living in a human body, there is always ego. Like there is no killing it. So he really detests that.
He doesn't like
phrase.
The saying.
He doesn't. Okay. He's like, there is no killing it. And for some people, when they're in that psychedelic space, they think that because it happened once, like when they come to, that now they have transcended their ego, like that it is no longer like that. Maybe like that shadow that is always with us. So I think that's why if you have like an ethical person holding the space and the ritual and having like the integration piece, they would hopefully check you a little bit.